Right, welcome back. Before the break, we asked you, should the presidential results be announced at the constituency level? Should the presidential results be announced at the constituency level? And just to sample some of your responses here, Ramnik Ikumiro says that, why does it have to be declared at the National Tallying Center? Does it mean that the IEBC does not trust their constituency returning officers? And again, he comments that the results should be announced and declared at the constituency level to avoid rigging of elections. Just one more here. Prince Shalin says that only thugs would not allow results to be announced at the constituency level. But moving on, now President Uhuru Kenyatta has pledged to lead Jubilee in a peaceful campaign that is free of insults, name-calling and incitement. The president has urged his opponents to follow suit. Now, Uhuru's remarks were made even as he pledged to defeat what he called a clueless opposition. The president has said the opposition has no idea what Kenyans want and that when they are not inciting Kenyans, they are peddling insults and have personalized attacks. And personalized attacks have become a hallmark of Kenyan politics. What do you reckon? Are we in personal territory? I know we had the famous case of the Pangani Six, which in the end they were charged and the case got thrown out, not for a lack of evidence, but because the evidence was deemed inadmissible, which means it's possible to hold these people to account. Hayamba, you're smiling. Let me just ask you what's on your mind. Are we in a season where you can only campaign by attacking the personhood of a candidate?
Yes, we are in a season of character assassination or mudslinging. Those ones that shout the loudest get the attention, of course. That one explains why. But I think the president has, personally, if you'd ask me, maybe he's the one to blame because, one, the Constitution identifies the president as a symbol of unity. Look at what the president has been engaging in. Himself today, he says he will not do it again. You see it says in the Swahili, na mimi nimesema sitarudia tena. The following day, like in Mombasa, when he went to Tononoka, he said that of course, he went to Mombasa after having had the tirade he engaged in Turkana with Nanok. So he went and said, okay, people have said I was emotional, understand me, but I will not do it again.
I'm a human being.
I'm a human being, I will not do it again. The following morning, he asked Joho, unanifata mimi ni bibi yako, and now it started.
As a human being, man is to error.
So we don't know, but I think presidency has been a big letdown. We've never seen a president who's so furious, agitated, and all that. And then that aspect of being a symbol of unity. He's a human being, yes, but that institution holds him captive to some things. Because if he was to be asked as a symbol of unity, what have you achieved? And maybe they just play back to back the kind of tirade he engages in. Perhaps, I don't know how much he would score out of 100.
All right, Sharon, as an intelligence consultant, what does this mean for the security of the election, the sanctity of our vote, general well-being as we go into the general election?
I think you've struck the nail on the head, you know? And unfortunately, as a nation, we suffer from severe amnesia. This is not the first time a president has hurled insults. It's not the first time politicians are hurling insults. It's definitely not going to be the last time. Now you have to look at the context of it, right? Now, hate speech in its own has the capability to destroy a nation. We saw that in 2007. So if you actually read it for what it is, if we're saying that we're going to curb our politicians from using vile language, inciting language, yeah, even in the undertones, which are things that people don't necessarily pick up, yeah, then that way you can say, yes, he is valid in his statement. But what exactly qualifies as an insult? Is calling somebody clueless an insult, you see? So it's the nitty-gritty. So I think the thing that gets lost in translation is the message of the day. It's the message of the day like, look, you're going to campaign, but what we need to do is to ensure that we do not incite our populace into a scenario where we have 2007, 2008. Also separating the issue, going back to that security aspect, you know, speculation is a very, very bad thing. You know, when it comes to the media, for starters, when it comes to taking headlines out of context. So you have to realize that the people who will end up reading this news might not necessarily be able to distinguish the two. And then finally, bringing it back to the atmosphere that we're in. We have to, one of the things that we say are some of our baseline assumptions that Africa practices, that we're living in a world where, especially Kenya, the voters, they vote on the basis of personality of a policy. So you're not going to sell me on your policy. Unfortunately, you're going to sell me on your personality. Populism was on the rise. We saw that in terms of the primaries. So if you're popular and, you know, unfortunately, or depending on how you say it, fortunately or unfortunately, your words have a lot of impact. So if you're firing up people, you can fire them up for the positive and firing them up for the negative. Yeah, so insults ultimately fire them up for the negative.
But if it's personality-based politics, aren't insults part of that whole game? Because you're talking about people and not issues. What else are you going to insult or to interrogate apart from the person's character? Oruko?
I didn't hear your question. Can you come again?
Oh, I'm saying because Sharon has said that they've done, I guess, studies, and they've realized in Kenya the politics is about personalities and not issues, not issue-based.
Yeah.
So if that's the kind of environment we're in, and your opponent is a personality and not his issues, what are you left with other than insulting him as a person?
That's the only
or
weapon.
her?
That's the only weapon. And actually, you have summed it up. That's what we are. Let's not pretend of what we are not. Right? But on this, I want to really agree with what I said. There's a time I appeared on this show, and I think I was very hard on the deputy president about insults and all that. And then somebody called me. Actually, this thing forced me to go back and try to research who insults who most. You know? And actually, whether you like it or not, the president scores 0 on that. So he's the worst. And I think Raila Odinga has been very careful
Right.
in terms of insults.
Okay.
So the truth of the matter is, it goes back to him. If he has eaten a Hippocratic oath today, we hope to listen tomorrow.
All right. Nelly, quickly, you've got 12 seconds. What's your point of view on this?
Well, I think all I can say is that while our electorate is maturing and trying to move away from personality attacks, our politicians are doing the opposite.
Right, they're regressing.
And that's the space we are in. It doesn't matter which side of the divide you're looking at.
Yes.
They're all going down while the electorate is going up. Remember, they have sent home people because of insults.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, a failure of the state institutions to arrest the hate mongers also. They go scot-free.
Fair comment, but let's stay with the president on his campaign trail. And now President Uhuru Kenyatta today issued a check worth 460 million shillings for the resettlement of IDPs in Kisii, after issuing 358 million shillings for the same purpose yesterday. The president said that the IDP question had been a thorny issue among the Gusii community and promised to deal with the issue decisively. He reiterated that Kenya would not go back to the kind of violence experienced during the 2007 general election. Now, this latest payout comes 10 years after the violence and 4 years after the Jubilee government was elected.
Na hiyo mimi naamini ya kwamba imelete sasa suluhu ya kudumu na ya kumaliza, na ndio hawa Wakenya wenzetu ambao walikuwa wamehamishwa kwa sababu ya vita ya kisiasa waweze kuwa na maisha, waweze kuendelea na maisha yao ile na vile inatakikana. Kama Wakenya hatuwezi tena kukubali ya kwamba siasa itakuwa mambo ya kumwaga damu na kuharibu mali ya watu. Kila mtu aombe kura kwa utulivu. Aombe kura kwa kuuza sera zake.
Right, so this post-election violence happened, as I said, 10 years ago. Just days ago, 2 billion shillings was released from the Treasury, 2 billion shillings, to compensate integrated IDPs. And we're just 3 weeks away from the end of the financial year. So that's a question that we can start off with there. In Kisii and Nyamira, I think he's already done 800 million, which is almost half. There are 33 other counties to go where they have to sort out IDP issues. Having said all that, Dr. Nelly, what are we facing? What are we dealing with here? Are we really trying to help people, or is this a campaign strategy?
You know, even if it wasn't, there is no way the president is going to say that it was not a campaign strategy. There is no way you can come to bury the dead because you refused to buy medicine when they were still alive and they would have been living. That's how it's looking. Unfortunately, it comes out in very bad taste. Actually, on the ground, he's gotten a really bad backlash. That probably didn't help his campaign. People have sat up and asked it. We needed 10 years to earn 50,000 shillings. Our displacement cost us millions. What is this doing for me now? Okay, and if this is a strategy to ask for my votes, this is exactly the reason why I will not vote for you. It is probably something that preferably he shouldn't have done. It wasn't a smart move. Whoever advised him, they really needed to rethink this. This probably has cost him more votes in the county than it would have gained him by just showing up and going away.
Ruko, you're chuckling right next to her. Was he going to get votes in
No, you know, sometimes
Kisii
I
and
think,
Nyamira anyhow?
I think elections are very good in Kenya, and I wish we have them every year. You know, I have lived a place where I've never had water for the last 5 years, but the last 3 months, water has been flowing endlessly because of elections.
You better save it.
The road has been made, you know, and yeah. If they have been paid now, so what is the problem? It's not as good. It's as good. Better late than never. But this one also goes back now to the issue of IBC. Rather than pretending to tell us about counting votes, these are the issues they should be dealing with. They should actually bar the president from defending his seat, because it's actually these are
On what
an
grounds,
election offense. Of course, the line between these two things are
Bribery.
Yeah, this is bribery.
That is a bribe.
You know, we cannot pretend that these two things is a very clear way of buying the votes.
In that case, no one would be cleared by ABC if it was
No,
a
let's
simple
not
issue
go
of
there.
bribery. But
No,
then
don't divide the net. Personally, an MCA has no check to give. Okay? So let us deal with the problem at hand. Once you deal with this kind of a person, buy him, the rest will fear.
Sharon, do you
Yeah.
think our president should be barred from running in the 2017 general election?
Well, I'd have to really qualify that statement in the sense that, you know, this is a sensitive issue, right? Is it better that you have no money or have some money? Yeah? Timing, I mean, with the timing, you cannot help but say that it's a campaign strategy. But there's something that has been mentioned that's very crucial. You're looking at the counties, yeah, where this money has gone. I do not foresee that it is a situation where the Jubilee Party thinks they will be able to sway all the voters in Nyamira County, in Kisii County, by virtue of helping the IDPs. What it will do, you know, is to elevate, to get to that point of the 50+1 by having those voters who say, by the way, at the end of the day, I was able to secure some money. So it might not, the backlash might come right now, but what you might not foresee is what happens at the ballot box.
So it's like a swing vote kind of situation.
Exactly. I consider it a swing vote type of, exactly, like you said, a situation. And when you're dealing with swing votes, they're literally that. You're not looking to buy in the whole county. You're looking to be smart and specific, and you realize that a pertinent issue in this place is the IDPs, right? These are people who will appreciate that 50,000 shillings.
Remember, it's coming 10 years.
Definitely,
After
but
they
let
were
me tell you,
displaced, yes.
money is money. Money now is better than money
What
that I
is to
did
stop them
have.
from taking the money and then voting for her?
It does
whoever
not
they want to?
stop them. But what you have to realize with the nitty-gritty of campaign strategies is you want to remain relevant and memorable, right? So that is a crucial thing. By doing that, they remain memorable, and even if it is controversial is memorable.
Right.
I think I want to concur with Daktari that it might cost the president more for simple reason, as you're saying. We are looking at 10 years down the line is when that compensation is being given. Then there is that debate that has been started that when the resettlement of IDPs began, how much were they taking home? Why is it that when it comes to those ones that were integrated, they get the shorter end of the stick? Right. Secondly, the president was the finance minister.
Time.
The president was the finance minister. The president was deputy prime minister. He's been president. What perhaps took that long? So that is the kind of political propaganda that might be started just to ensure that the whole thing boomerangs.
Right, fair comment. But now finally, as the country reels from a biting unga shortage, despite the recent importation of thousands of tons of duty-free maize and a government subsidy to mitigate the unga crisis, questions are now being raised about the supply of sugar. You will recall that the price of sugar has risen sharply in recent months to retail at more than 300 shillings for 2 kilograms. And now NASA principals Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula have linked the death of Mumia Sugar Company Secretary Ronald Lubia to his decision to stand in the way of illegal sugar imports, so they claim. Right, so this is a very political issue because, of course, we have the police who should ideally be investigating why somebody was shot dead. I don't understand really well. I mean, politics comes in, obviously, but maybe should not. So, Dr. Nani, quickly, 30 seconds each, what do you think about this?
From where I'm sitting, I think the opposition should stop talking about these things. We've seen it happen in the past. We had somebody get shot. We had someone get shot. They talked about him. The investigation fizzled out. Now, Lubia has been shot. We're talking about same story.
Was he shot or was he bludgeoned to death? Doctors tell us
question for the police, not for NASA.
Not for us.
I think it's just about taking politics there. You're just politicizing an issue that's actually very sad.
Right.
You know?
Hayamba, quickly, final comment?
At a loss, because allegations came on a day before and then it happened, and then there are conflicting reports on what caused the death. As Uruko says, police had initially said he was shot. Post-mortem says...
Experts themselves
say he wasn't shot.
All right. Well, that's where we end it now. We asked you, should the presidential results be announced at the constituency level, or should the presidential results be announced at the constituency level? Many of you saying no, some saying that, of course, saying yes, that of course they should be announced at constituency. That was a comment by Dr. Ouko Robert. Somebody called Maloba Edwin saying, it's like a class teacher insisting on reading out the noisemakers while the class prefect can do it. Well, thank you so much for your responses. I'm sorry we run out of time. My name is Julie Masiga. I've been joined by Dr. Nelly Bosire, Ibrahim Oruko, Sharon Cherambos, and of course, Duncan Hayamba. It's been such a pleasure and such good fun tonight. Do join us next week at the same time and the same place. This has been News Sources. Coming up right now is KTN Prime.